my name is Robbie Lawlor, and I am basically here to tell all of you how you are all going to end AIDS. So, why is it important? Well, AIDS is the biggest killer of women of reproductive age in the world, and the second biggest killer of adolescents. When I say adolescents, that's 12 to 19-year-olds. So it's the biggest killer of every single person in here, the second biggest killer in the world. And the reason why this is a problem is because people don't need to die of AIDS. We have so much medication out there to stop people getting AIDS. Take me, for example. I'm living with HIV. I got HIV through unprotected sex. And what HIV does is that it goes into your body and it targets your immune system, in particular your CD4 cells. But then it gets your immune system so low in your body, you can get AIDS, which is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, okay? And that's an umbrella term for all these infections you can get, cancers. A common cold will kill you because your body just can't fight it off anymore. But what I'm on, because I'm living with HIV, is medication. And what the medication does is it stops HIV from replicating. So if HIV can't replicate, it dies. But the reason we can't get rid of HIV is because it lies dormant. It's in my brain, it's in my intestine, and it's in my stomach. But I take my medication every day, so it can't replicate again. I'm going to live as long as all of you bitches, all right? But also, what happens is we get the virus so suppressed in the body, I physically cannot pass on HIV, with or without a condom. Why are so many people dying of AIDS? Well, there are 37 million people roughly living with HIV in the world, okay? And only 53% of them have access to medicines. So this is one of the biggest issues. So what's Ireland doing about this? Well, we're falling behind. In 2000, all the United Nations countries came together and made a commitment. And we said that we do 0.7% of our GNI. And basically that means is, for every €100 that we spend on our health service, our housing, we only put 70 cents of that away for international aid. And we only give 33 cents at the moment for every €100. But even this money doesn't go towards HIV, it goes towards trade. So there's a reason why there's so many people without access to medicines. Sustainable Development Goal number 3.3 is our vision for HIV. And we want 0 new HIV infections, 0 AIDS-related deaths, and 0 stigma and discrimination by 2030. Now, as I was saying, we can stop AIDS-related deaths and passing on of HIV. We can get those numbers. But stigma and discrimination is a lot more difficult. There's no medication for that. Because if people don't know about HIV, they fear it because they think it's an infectious disease, which it is primarily. But then we can get people uninfectious. And if people aren't educated about it, they give people a really hard time who are living with HIV. So we don't have a magic pill for stigma and discrimination, but we do have a vaccination, and that is education. Brian's story is very interesting because he's an AIDS orphan. Both his parents died at the age of 8, and he himself was dying of AIDS too. But he didn't take his medication because he thought the medication wouldn't work, that he needed the healing power of God. One day, someone in his classroom ratted him out to the teacher. He went into school the next day, and all his medication were on the blackboard. And his teacher said, "Brian, are you trying to kill us all? You are disgusting, get out of this class." Right after, his principal called a General Assembly and kicked him out in front of every student in that school. So he went back to the orphanage, out of school, dying. And a celebrity came that second day. And the celebrity came up to him while he was crying in the back of the support group and said, can you turn HIV into an opportunity to help yourself and someone else? Well, from that day, he started to take his medication. He stopped getting AIDS. He put on weight, his skin stopped peeling. And now he works for UNIPA, which is Uganda's network for young people living with HIV and AIDS. It's 50,000 young people living with HIV in Uganda, and he leads this. This is Georgia. She's HIV negative. She's from the UK, and she fights for access to medicines everywhere. And she asked that question, why do 47% of people living with HIV not have access to medicines? I want to help get these goals, not only in Ireland, not only in Europe, but I want to be a world leader in this, and I want to do good work. Because no one living with HIV should live a life of stigma, and no one should die of AIDS anymore. And what she said to me was like, Robbie, why can't you? Now she coordinates 1 million youth activists, and in 5 years' time, it's going to be 100 million youth activists, not only in child slave labor, but HIV and access to medicines. I was diagnosed with HIV in 2012, and I was like, why the hell is everyone else I know living with HIV in Ireland and in the world feel less about themselves when they shouldn't? And why aren't they taking the medication when it's available? So what I do now is I go around telling my story to empower people living with HIV to live their best lives, but also if they can tell their own story, if they are safe to, well then they can make a massive, massive difference. And I also yell and encourage governments. I'm on my 5th option of medication, HIV medication. In Uganda, you only have access to 2, if you're lucky. The only reason why I'm alive today is because of the country I'm born in. So I go to governments all over the EU saying, how is that fair and why aren't you doing enough? We have changed such massive policies that have saved the lives of millions collectively, and that's just 3 people. 3 young people who believe in themselves. So my call to action is remember it. These are our parliamentaries at the moment in the Dáil. Quite frankly, they shit themselves when young people come together and they go and lobby the government. Because what politicians want to do is stay in power, right? And what they know is young people aren't only just today's society, but the future society. And for them to stay in power, they need to change their politics. So what I always encourage people is don't be afraid of them. Right now, you know more about HIV and international development than 90% of the Dáil, and I kid you not, honestly, that's the truth. So go in, be politically motivated, keep international development on the agenda, because if we do not stay loud enough, HIV is going to be forgotten about, and this is why HIV is the 2nd biggest killer of adolescents in the world, when 10 years ago, it wasn't even in the top 10. So remember it and stay loud. Thank you very much.